El clip que estás a punto de ver es muy importante, así que por favor préstale atención.
The right to do anything I want to do. I'm the president of the United States. If I think our country's in danger, and it is in danger in these cities.
Trump talks of bloodshed, bedlam, squalor, and worse. Homicides in DC were actually down 32% last year and are down another 11% this year. On top of which, the city's official violent crime rate in 2024 was the second lowest reported since 1966. But obviously, crime stats don't matter to this administration. This is all about a show of power, just like it was in June when Trump deployed the National Guard to LA on similarly flimsy pretenses. And
I can do it. No problem going in and solving, his difficulty.
Podemos seguir malgastando dinero de los contribuyentes haciendo que recojan basura. Mira el clip, por favor. O sea, ¿qué pasó con el crimen que supuestamente estaban deteniendo para que personas como John Hannity puedan salir a comer con su esposa? Algo que el presidente de Estados Unidos consideró que necesitaba que todo Estados Unidos sepa. Mira el clip, por favor.
There's a guy named Sean Hannity. He might take a very lovely young lady that he knows very well to dinner in Washington, and they don't have to, and she's sitting right next to you, by the way.
That's right.
But Mr. President, I don't want to get him in trouble, so I better explain exactly. We don't want any secrets here. But
exactly
that's the greatest relationship. I hope I'm not breaking any news. This could be the biggest, this could be the most important thing I said. But let me tell you, those are two great, Ainsley and Sean, great people. And
we appreciate you joining us this morning.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Ainsley, thank you. I hope I didn't get you in trouble with Sean. No,
we appreciate your support.
I'll say it. I like this. It's a great couple.
Si has estado viendo noticias últimamente, pudiste ver que los miembros de la Guardia Civil estaban recogiendo basura para que se embellezca más la ciudad. Todo esto como parte de su proyecto de embellecimiento y restauración. La Guardia Nacional de Washington DC publicó un video de ellos mismos en redes sociales recogiendo todo y tratando de embellecer una parte donde hay un sendero dentro de Washington. Todo esto para que no haya tanta basura. Todo esto ocurre mientras funcionarios de la administración de Donald Trump siguen siendo atacados y abucheados por el pueblo de Washington DC por todo lo que están haciendo. Miren el clip, por favor.
Some violent, crazy people who are screaming at kids with a few crazy liberals who are screaming at the vice president. But I think that's a very worthwhile trade to make because we want our people to be able to enjoy our beautiful cities. And the last thing I'll say is to the American people, DC is already safer than it was 9 days ago, but we're going to make it safer still to come. This is your city. You should feel free to come and visit here, have a meal, see all these incredible monuments, and actually enjoy yourself. And that's what we're trying to make happen. And I think that if we set a standard in Washington, D.C., that political willpower can bring some common sense, law and order back to these communities, then maybe some other communities and other cities will follow suit. So it's kind of crazy. You hear these guys outside. They appear to hate the idea that Americans can enjoy their communities.
Y cuando pasan cosas como esta, uno se pregunta, ¿será que esta es la mejor forma en la que pueden aprovechar todo el dinero que se les paga a estas personas? Pues viene del dinero del Estado y se está desperdiciando en que en vez de defender estén limpiando. No digo que esté mal, pero ganan muy bien estas personas como para que estén limpiando. Y lo peor de todo es que podrían estar limpiando calles que sí están llenas de crimen, pero no, Donald Trump las pone a limpiar. Miren el clip, por favor. Ahora, obviamente, para cualquiera que haya prestado atención, Esto es y seguirá siendo una distracción por parte de Donald Trump. Todo esto para que la gente ya ni siquiera se dé cuenta de que sus encuestas están en caída libre. O sea, están disminuyendo. Mira este clip, por favor.
When you see Trump with Putin, as I have on a few occasions, he's like the 12-year-old boy that goes to high school and meets the captain of the football team. My hero. It is really creepy.
Cuando Donald Trump ganó en 2024 fue porque mejoró significativamente el voto por correo. O sea, en realidad le fue peor que en el 2020 si contamos los votos presenciales. Pero adelante, Donald, no dejes que te detengamos. Miren el clip, por favor.
With Donald Trump saying this week that he wanted to end mail-in voting nationwide, despite the fact that he has no real constitutional authority to do so, at least according to most major scholars, I think it's really important to point out that one of the big reasons why Donald Trump won in 2024 was because of an improvement with mail-in voting. Indeed, his improvement was so big that without his mail-in voting bump, he would have actually lost in 2024. What am I talking about here? Okay, Trump's margin 2024 versus 2020. Among mail-in voters, get this. He did 9 points better. He did 9 points better in 2024 compared to 2020. Among in-person voters, get this. He did actually 5 points worse. He did 5 points worse. Therefore, the only reason that Donald Trump won in 2024 was because he did better with mail-in voting than he did back in 2020. Now, this, I think, is the really important thing when it comes to the Trump-Republican coalition. They do better among voters of color. They do better among lower education levels, right? They do better among younger voters, all who have a lower propensity to turn out. Therefore, Donald Trump should try to be expanding the voting universe. Indeed, take a look at this statistic right here. Trump's 2024 presidential win. If all citizens voted, get this, his margin would have actually increased by 1 to 3 points, according to most studies. I went back and I looked at every single election I could, studied every single one. He is the first Republican nominee for president on record that I could find that would actually benefit from universal voting. That is, if every citizen or every eligible citizen voted.
Sin contar que sus principales propagandistas tratan de evitar por completo todo el caos económico que han creado sus aranceles. Mira el clip, por favor.
One that stuck out, it's fun, not feelings. And what's really not fun is what's going on with the American public today, or what they're feeling about the economy.
Is this another poll?
No, it's not actually.
Please,
it's headlines.
Oh my God.
Headlines.
In wake of Trump tariffs, John Deere announces mass layoffs. PepsiCo will increase carbonated soft drink concentrate prices by 10%. Sony is raising PS5 prices in the U.S. by $50 across all models, and electric bills are up 10% so far this year. The election, you can say it was about whatever you want, it was about cost of living. That's what it came down to. People said inflation hadn't come down enough. Joe Biden doesn't feel my pain. I don't want to hear about Bidenomics.
What's the inflation?
Hoy mismo más países se han sumado a, ya saben, la lista de países que quieren pausar la entrega de correos postales a Estados Unidos. Todo esto debido al caos arancelario que impuso Donald Trump, incluyendo Italia, Nueva Zelanda, España y muchos más. Miren el clip, por favor.
Well, the Trump administration is ending a trade exemption that has allowed packages worth less than $800 to come into the United States duty-free. President Donald Trump eliminated what's called the de minimis rule for China and Hong Kong earlier this year. Now, though, that is being suspended for all countries effective August 29th. The White House calls it a catastrophic loophole used to dodge tariffs and sneak drugs into the country by exploiting lower inspection standards. Removing the trade exemption is expected to raise costs for imported goods and heighten scrutiny of low-value packages entering the U.S. But unanswered questions about the new process is prompting postal services in Germany, Denmark, Sweden, and Italy to suspend shipping of most merchandise into the U.S. effective immediately. France and Austria are expected to follow on Monday, and the UK's Royal Mail says that it will halt shipments to the U.S.
Y como señaló recientemente CNN, la afirmación de Donald Trump de que estos aranceles obligarán a Estados Unidos a mejorar su manufactura no está basado en nada sustancial, ninguna estadística, ninguna lógica económica. Simplemente es la creencia de Donald Trump. Y ya. Miren el clip, por favor.
And Pamela, the two main reasons why President Trump says that he likes tariffs is that he wants to shrink trade deficits, but also bring manufacturing back to the United States. So we set out to answer that question. Has that actually happened? How many companies have moved 100% of their manufacturing to the United States since President Trump took office? Well, the answer, pretty clear. Zero. And we've looked at big companies and mid-sized companies and still came up with that same answer. Of course, there could be some smaller companies that we don't know about, but the ones that we track, zero. Companies, though, instead of moving all of their manufacturing, have moved some manufacturing to the United States, and big companies that are really important to the U.S. economy. Apple, IBM, Johnson & Johnson, foreign automakers, Hyundai, Ford, and NVIDIA, the AI chip maker. And they have invested quite a bit already into the United States. Look at that. Apple, $600 billion. IBM, $150 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. Hyundai and Ford together, $26 billion. And then an interesting way that NVIDIA is bringing revenue into the United States, 15% of all of their AI chips sold in China, now those sales coming back into the United States. But Pamela, really the hurdles to setting up manufacturing in the United States is high labor costs and just the ability to manufacture the items themselves because there isn't the manufacturing set up here in the United States. A company called Afina, who I spoke to, they make shower heads. To produce one of their shower heads in China costs $129 for consumers to buy. But if they were to source the parts and make it right here in the United States, it would cost more than 80% more, $239 for the consumer. So the CEO wanted to see, hey, will any of my customers pay more if it's made in America? He sent an email to 25,000 of his customers and asked that very question. Here is what he found out, and here's what he told me. Watch.
We sold 584, I believe, of the made in China version, priced at $129. And unfortunately, zero made in the US version, priced at $100 more.
Were you surprised?
Yes.
Así que cuando pasan cosas como esta, no simplemente tenemos que destacarlas, sino que muchas veces tenemos que entender que son distracciones para que nadie se dé cuenta, o bueno, para que el político haga que nadie se dé cuenta de las cosas que realmente están pasando, o que realmente quiere ocultar, pues de las cosas que no se habla muchas veces son las que se deberían de hablar. Pero bueno, yo cumplí con mi misión, que es informarte como lo hago absolutamente todos los días. Como siempre te digo, para mí lo más importante es tu opinión y me encantaría que la pongas en los comentarios. Además, si te gusta el contenido de política estadounidense, te va a encantar suscribirte al canal, ya que subo videos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.